Hello! We're back with another reading wrap up. That's like the only video I do in this channel. I'm gonna start doing more, I promise. Okay, but this month I read 18 books and we're gonna talk about them. And unlike my other videos, I organized them by genre instead of just listing the books in the order I read them because I feel like it's just gonna be more organized. So, yeah. The first book I read this month was a romance book. This is going to be the romance genre. So the first one I read was Throttled by Lauren Asher. It's the first book in the Dirty Air series, and it follows an F1 driver named Noah Slade who hates commitment, and he starts crushing on his rival sister who doesn't do casual. She only wants commitment. Yeah, you see the dilemma here. Mhm. This was a 5-star read for me. I liked everything except that there was a lot of shaming people for enjoying sex and derogatory language use, like man whore, floozy, stuff like that, which I don't appreciate. But other than that, like I liked it all. And like some of the things Noah did for her, y'all, he literally went to therapy so that he could be good enough for her. Swoon, I loved it. And then I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Guillory. I have no idea how to pronounce her last name, but I read this. So this is about two people who get stuck on an elevator together, and then he explains that he doesn't have a date to his ex-girlfriend's wedding, and so she pretends to be his girlfriend at the wedding. So yeah, you get fake dating. Um, this was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. The beginning was strong, and I thought it would be a 5 because it was like fun. It was funny. It was a good time, and I liked the characters. But the last third of the book ruined it for me. There was just too much fighting, less cute and fun scenes, and a lot of the fights were based on miscommunications, also, which made it a million times worse. And then I read Face Offs and Cheap Shots by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is an enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers, college hockey romance, which are all things I love, so it's no surprise that I gave this 5 stars as well. These are about two guys who are competing against each other for a captain position. And yeah, this was perfect. I have nothing negative to say about this. I love the snarky banter. I love that there was no third act breakup. I loved everything. And then I read I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, which I thought this book was called I Kissed Sarah Wheeler for the longest time. I didn't realize it was Shara Wheeler until I was literally 2 seconds from reading it and I looked at the cover a little closer. But anyway, this is a YA sapphic romance. It's about this girl named Shara Wheeler who runs away and she sends Chloe and some of her friends on this like wild goose chase to find her. Like she sets up clues for them to find her, so it's like a fun little mystery. It's academic rivals lovers. I gave this 5 stars. It was cheesy, but it was so much fun, and I loved it so much. I love the characters; they're also funny and adorable, and yeah, it was just a fun time. Really lighthearted, I think. Yeah, just a good time. And by the way, I love the fact that Shara's eyes match the background on the cover. It's just so satisfying to me. Love it. And then I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which I cannot believe I read through this whole thing and there was not one Rihanna reference. You know, must be love on the brain. Every time I like read the title of this book, that's all I can think about. Like I have to sing the title. But yeah, this is about two people who knew each other in grad school, and the heroine, she thought he hated her, and then they didn't really speak, and then a few years later, they have to work together again to create helmets for astronauts. And I thought this book was going to be enemies to lovers because that's what everyone um like markets it as. I've seen the author market it as enemies to lovers. I've seen like bookish accounts on Instagram market it as enemies to lovers, and it's not. It's not an enemies to lovers book. The hate was very one-sided, and so yeah, I just wanted to say that because I was a little irked at first that I went into this thinking it'd be enemies to lovers, and it wasn't at all. Um, but after I got my initial disappointment, after I got my over, what am I saying? I hate when I stumble over my words. I'm so embarrassed. But after I got over my initial disappointment of the fact that it's not enemies to lovers, I did actually really, really enjoy this. It's like a lighthearted, feminist, sciencey read. It was really fun. I gave it 4 stars. I just didn't like that so much of it was based off miscommunication. It was literally so much of the book was based on off miscommunication, and it was just annoying. But I liked everything else. It was a good time. Um, and then I read Sinners Condemned by Same Sketcher or Somi Sketcher. I have no idea what her first name is. But this is the second book in the Sinners Anonymous series, which follows the three Visconti brothers. You don't need to read the first book in the series to understand this, you can just start with this one. And it's also the first book in Rafe and Penny's duet. So it's about this girl named Penny who's a grifter, but she's trying to go straight. She's trying to redeem herself. She's a reformed grifter. Okay, and then Rafe hires her as a favor to one of his friends. So it's like mafia enemies lovers with an age gap, and it's boss employee. Um, and it's a very, very, very slow burn, like very slow. And oh my gosh, I loved everything about this. Penny, I'm obsessed with her. I'm more obsessed with her than Rafe is. Like, she's so sassy and so stubborn, and she's just such a baddie, and I'm literally in love with her. I'm in love with her. I want to be her. And oh, watching her rob men blind, it was too good. It was just too good. And then Rafe, he's like this rude and violent maid man who's disguised as a gentleman, which everyone kept referring to him as a gentleman, and I truly don't know how he fooled everyone into thinking he is because the man is unhinged. And he's also a billionaire, guys, with a B. Not millionaire with an M. Billionaire with a B, y'all. And the sexual tension was so good. And the banter, oh my gosh, their banter is so good. It's so snarky and just like the best enemies lovers banter you could ask for. This is like one of the easiest 5 stars I have ever given. And I'm so happy I read this. And then I read Sinners Consumed by Somme Sketch. This is the second book in Rafe and Penny's duet, third book in the series overall. I should not have said the last book was the easiest 5 stars I've given because this one was. This one, I would give it 6 stars if I could. It is everything I've ever wanted in a romance book, like the snarky banter. They don't lose it after they get together, which like a lot of couples do in books. So, which I love that. The snarky banter is everything, and the smut was good, and I just love these characters so much, and the sweet things they did for each other. Oh, Rafe's Valentine gift. You guys should honestly read this duet just to get to Rafe's Valentine gift, like near the end of this book, because it was so thoughtful and creative, and like it was literally like the best gift ever. I think I cannot think of a gift that is better than that one. I'm not gonna say what it is because that's kind of a spoiler, but you guys should just read it, not knowing what to expect. And when he gets to the gift part, oh my gosh, it's too good. Like if a man did that for me, I would marry him on the spot and also cry because that was so thoughtful. Like my only complaint about this book is that it was too short. Like I wish it went on forever, honestly. And I can't wait for Gabe and Ren's book. I I'm so freaking excited. I think they're gonna give it Grumpy Sunshine. I don't even know, but I'm so excited. And I wrote the date down in my notes app so that when the books come out, I can get them immediately. And then I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is a sports romance. It's best friends to lovers. I don't have much to say about this other than the fact that it was really cute. It was 5 star read, cute, yeah. And then I read Coming Up Roses by Stacey Hart, which is a gender flipped Pride and Prejudice retelling. It's about this guy named Lucas who comes back to town, his hometown, because his family's flower shop is struggling, and he comes back to help and save the day. And Tess works there, and she hates him. So, yeah, I thought it'd be enemies to lovers, but the enemies part lasts like 20 pages. So not really. But I'm obsessed with this cover. That's honestly the only reason I read it because the cover is so freaking cute. The whole book is pretty cute, really. The only thing is that there is other woman drama, which I do want to warn you guys about because I know a lot of people hate that. But it was still a 5 star read for me. Like I thought it was really cute, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. And then I read Bully by Penelope Douglas. This was definitely the worst romance of the month. I gave this 2 stars. It's a high school bully romance. Like duh, you can probably get that from the title. Um, yeah, it was 2 stars. The love interest, Jared, is just awful. He treats Tate horribly, and his excuses for the bullying were so bad. And they were just so bad. And he didn't even have to grovel much. And like another thing, Jared acts like he's in the mafia, even though he's like 17, 18-year-old. He's just a regular high school kid who does illegal things sometimes. But like he literally acts like he's in the mafia, and I cannot take him seriously because like child, you're 17. Why are you acting like you rule school? I hate books where like someone is depicted as like ruling the school because it's just so funny. Like it can only if it's done in an ironic way, then it's like fine. Like but when it's done in an unironic way, like it was done here, it's just like I can't take it seriously because if he acted like this in any school in real life, he would be laughed out of the building. Like what is he doing? Why does he think he can talk to people like that? And anyway, it just really bugged me. You'll know what I mean if you read it, I think. I don't know if I'm making sense to people who haven't read this, but yeah. And he's so entitled. Also, like he would get mad at Tate for not doing him favors or not instantly forgiving him after bullying her for years. And he would like anyway. Anyway, I don't want to get into specifics. Well, I am kind of getting specific, I guess. But I don't want to talk about the specific example I'm thinking of because I feel like it's maybe a spoiler because it's I don't remember what part of the book it happens at, but okay. Anyway, moving on from that, there's also a lot of women hating on women. Like I remember at one point Tate hates on women for cheering at a sports event, like it's a racing event, which is just stupid because like everyone cheers at sporting events. The guys do too, but was she complaining about the guys? No, of course not. Only the women because they have like annoying high pitched voices and Tate's eyes or something. Like she was just hating on women for existing basically, and she calls women who wear revealing clothing sluts, and she calls them trashy, and I just don't like that, obviously. Um, this is the first book in a series. It's the Fall Away series, and I probably won't be continuing the series because the second book is romantic and his character was repulsive. So, okay, now we're on to the mystery genre. So the first mystery book I read of this month was Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bowley. This is a YA mystery. There is some romance in it, but it's not the main thing. It's also fake dating. Okay. I don't really want to give you guys like a summary of this because I just feel like it's better to go in if you don't know what to expect. Like that's what I did, and I really enjoyed it. Because then, like when the big thing happens, it's like a surprise. And I just feel like it's better that way. Like, but then after I read the book, I read the blurb because I was like, oh, I wonder what it says, and I feel like it like hints at something big that happens. I feel like you should go in not expecting it, because it's just better that way. But I mean, search up trigger warnings if you have them. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna say that this book deals a lot with grief and the effects of drug addiction, and it handles those topics really well. So if you're interested in them, definitely read this. And also the main character is from the Ojibwe tribe, Ojibwe tribe, and so there are a lot of people. Um, what was I gonna say? Okay, so she's from that tribe, and the people she's surrounded with are also from the tribe, a lot of them. And so you're gonna learn about a lot about their tradition and their culture, which I thought was really neat. I thought it was really interesting, and I just love the sense of community in this book, and I love the mystery. It was a 5-star read. I really, 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 really enjoyed this. It was just at the beginning was a little slow, but after like the big thing happens, it really picks up, and I love it so much. It was so good. And then I read The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Snow. This is a mystery thriller. It's about this guy named Adam who gets accused of stabbing his mistress to death, and his wife Sarah is a defense attorney, and she takes his case, which is that even allowed? Like, is that not a conflict of interest? I swear it is. I don't even know though. I mean, I'm not a law person, but I feel like that would be a conflict of interest. Me thinking I know everything about law after watching How to Get Away with Murder. Yes. But yeah, this was a 3-star read. I just felt indifferent while reading it. Like I didn't care about the characters. And to be fair, they made it very hard to care about them. Like Adam he like did everything in his power to make him unlikable to me, I swear. Um and it was hard for me to care about like the story when I don't care at all about the characters, you know? And I almost actually DNF'd because I didn't even care who the murderer was. At one point I was like, do I even care? Like that's how indifferent I was, and this is really a mystery book. Like I feel like I always care about who the murderer is. So the fact that I didn't, I just feel like really emphasizes how how different I felt. Yeah. Okay. And then I read The Lion Game by Sarah Shepard. I really enjoyed this. I didn't know it was gonna be this good. I'm definitely gonna continue this series. Okay, so this is a YA mystery. It's the first book in I think a 6-part series. Um, yeah, the series is called Lion Game, by the way. It's really good. I was not expecting it to be this good. I kind of just picked it up because I watched the show, and the show like kind of ended on a cliffhanger. Like it didn't answer all the questions I needed to be answered. So I was like, okay, well the completed book series exists, so why don't I read the books to answer the questions? But yeah, okay. Anyway, it's about two long lost twin sisters, and one of them dies, and the other one is forced to pretend to be her by the killer. Like she's being threatened by the murderer, and then she's trying to figure out who the killer is while she's like living the other sisters life. Um, so yeah, it is 6 books, so it's gonna be a while. I feel like before I find out who the killer is, but I really like this. I gave 5 stars. Like I said, the mystery is really good. Like I feel like there's so many ways the plot could go, and I don't know what to expect. Like my number one suspect of right now is Ethan, who's the love interest, but I don't know. I don't know. That might change. We'll see how I feel after I read the second book, but I'm definitely gonna continue this series. I actually own the second book. I found it at the thrift store, and I immediately bought it because I really like this. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how this goes. But I will say this is very different from the TV show. Like right away, you're gonna see that there's a big difference. Like in the show, both sisters are alive. In this one, the sisters is dead. Okay, so I don't even know. The show probably was gonna have a different conclusion, but I'm just gonna pretend that what happens in the book is canon because I need closure. Anyway, then I read. Okay, this was actually my first read of the month. I started with The Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin, which is 835 pages, and it's also epic fantasy. So yeah, I don't know why I started with something that was so tough. This is definitely not my usual read either. Like I was very intimidated by it because there's just look at the size of it. But my brother got it for my birthday because I watched the show, so I felt obligated to give it a try, and it ended up being a 4 star. So I'm glad I did. Um, like I said, I watched the show and it was just so much fun revisiting the characters and the world, and like some of the scenes are like very similar to how they happen in the show, or exactly the same. I don't remember exactly because I watched the show like 2 years ago, but I could like some of the scenes I could literally see like the show in my mind. Like I could see exactly how it happened on the show as I was reading, so it was like I was rewatching the show in my mind at some parts, which I thought was really cool. Um, but I will say, if I hadn't watched the show, I don't think I would have liked this much because there are so many characters, and I would have been so confused if I hadn't already met them through the show. Like, even after watching the show, I felt very confused at some parts. Like, I was like, who is this again? There's just so many characters, and some of them have the same name. And, like, I know that happens in real life, but when it happens in fiction, I hate it. Like, there's multiple Johns, there's multiple Roberts, and they have the same spelling, and it was just like, which one are we talking about? Like, it was just confusing. And the fact that everyone in Khal Drogo's what's it called, clan? I don't know. His little group, they all their names end with like Ogo. I could not keep track of them. All I know is Khal Drogo. All the other ones were like blending together. But and another thing I dislike is that Ned had way too many like POV chapters. I started to dread all his chapters. Like they were just boring me to death. And like I like Ned in the show, but why did he have like every other chapter was his? The girls' chapters were definitely more enjoyable for me. Like I love Sansa, Arya, and Daenerys' chapters. Those were my favorite by far. And then probably Tyrion's after that. Okay. What else do I have to say about this? As for right now, my favorite character in the book is Arya. In the show is Marjorie, but we haven't seen much of her yet, so we'll see if she's still my favorite. Um, and I would not recommend this if you aren't familiar with fantasy because it's very, very complicated and it's kind of a lot, and it's just long and intimidating. So yeah, I would definitely not start with this book if you're not familiar with fantasy. If you are, go for it. And then I read A Court of Wait, did I even tell you guys we're into the fantasy genre? I mean, you can kind of guess, I guess. But yeah, we've been in the fantasy genre since A Game of Thrones. Okay, but then the next one I read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a fantasy Beauty and the Beast retelling, which lived up to the hype for me. It was a 5 star read. Like I feel like Feyre is a very easy character to root for, very selfless and brave, and I just really like her. Easy character to admire, root for. Um, and then the side characters were also great. I love Lucian, I love Tamlin, I love Rhysand, Alice, Nesta, all great. And oh my, the trials at the end of this book were so much fun. Like the stakes were so high, and the suspense and everything. I loved the trials were probably my favorite part. It was so much fun. Um, and I'm just gonna say it, guys. I did like Tamlin and Feyre's romance in this. I know everyone on the internet hates him, but I thought they were so freaking cute in this. I just had to admit that. I had to get that off my chest. Okay, and then the next one I read was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. It's the second book in the ACOTAR series. It was a it was a 4 star read for me. Sorry. I know this is an unpopular opinion because I feel like everyone says this is their favorite book in the series, but I actually like the first one better. I just feel like this book really dragged on at times. Like I feel like it was way too long for what it was. I feel like it could have been shortened quite a bit. But I do love the new characters, like especially Cassian, and I love Asriel and Moore and Amryn. I love Reese's Whole Inner Circle. I'm obsessed with them. So I have high hopes for the third book still. I'm hoping it is a little faster, but it's also longer than this one, so I feel like it might still drag at times, but I don't know. We'll see when I read it. Um, and then I read Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which was definitely my favorite fantasy of this month. I love this so much. This is a high fantasy book with lots of romance and mystery. It's about this girl named Scarlet and her sister Tella who get invited to this like exclusive magical game called Caraval. And okay, there's also a sailor named Julian who joins them because they have to get there somehow, and he has a boat. And there's like this mystery game. I don't want to say what the mystery is though, even though it's in the blurb because it feels kind of spoilery. Like I would not recommend reading the blurb. I think you should just go into this because it it tells you the mystery, and the mystery happens kind of like not at the beginning of the book at all. So I just feel like it's kind of a spoiler. Um, but yeah, you have to like use clues in the game to figure out the mystery, and it was just so much fun and like whimsical. I think is the word I'm using to describe it. Like I love this so much. It was a 5 star for sure. I love plots that involve characters like being participants in a game. Like I just feel like it's so much fun. That's what this was. Like Scarlet was in the game. Um, and this book just felt like magical. Like I feel like it sounds silly, but it's so true. And it's because Stephanie Garber's writing is so beautiful. Like the way she describes things, like the setting and the costumes. Like I never care about the clothing people are wearing in the books. Like I read those descriptions and I'm just like, okay, like I don't care. But the way she described the dresses were so like beautiful. Like she knows how to paint a pretty picture. And I'm just obsessed with her writing. I want to read everything she's ever written. But unfortunately, this book was checked out at my library, or the second book, I mean, in the series, Legendary, it was checked out at my library because I wanted to go straight from this to the Legendary, but someone else checked it out, so I have to wait. And I'm super bummed because I love this so much and I want to read more of Stephanie Garber's work because it's so beautiful. And another thing I love about this is that like everyone in Careful is performing because it's a game, so you don't know who you can trust and you don't know what's an illusion and what's real. And I love that. I love that like mind stuff, that twisty mind stuff. And I also love the romance. Scarlet and Julian's dynamic is so cute. Like they're like opposites, and you know what they say about opposites? Opposites attract, you know. And they balance each other out so well. Like he's funny, and she's serious. He's flirty and confident, and she's modest. He's a rule breaker. She's a rule follower. Like I love opposites attract so much. And unlike Game of Thrones, this is a good book to get into if you want to get into fantasy. Like the magic system is not complicated at all, and it's very easy to follow. So I'd recommend this for sure. And then I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy because I've heard so many people talking about this. Okay, so this is Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, obviously. So it discusses eating disorders, abuse, relationship struggles, her acting career, etc. So I don't know if you're interested in those. If you want to hear talk about those, I would recommend this. And I gave this 5 stars. I rate all memoirs I read as 5 stars because I'm not gonna judge someone's personal real story like I would judge a fictional book because I just feel like it's to be like that's not this part was not interesting or whatever. Like I just feel like it was kind of rude because it is someone's life, you know. And I just she's so brave for sharing this with the world, and I feel like it deserves a 5. Like it was good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, that is those are all the books I read this month. So it was a pretty good reading month. I feel like I got out of 5. I'm super excited for August, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to read as much because I do have vacation-y things planned. So that's unfortunate, but I will have a reading wrap up. Hopefully, I add some other videos this month that aren't just reading wrap ups, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, bye. Love you. See you next time.